On today's episode of Locked On Wild, one rookie who's rolling and two returns to the Wild lineup.
Hey, this is Matt Boldy, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
Hey, this is Marcus Foligno, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
You're Locked On Wild, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm Seth Toupal, and welcome to Locked On Wild, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. We thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day. We are your team each and every day as well, so make sure you subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. Today's episode of Locked On Wild is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. On today's episode of Locked On Wild, we will discuss Jesper Wallstedt's latest solid start, a shutout against the Calgary Flames, and we'll look at why confidence is such a big key to Jesper's early career performances. Next, we'll take a look at the return of Zuccarello to the lineup, as the Wild are 2-0 with him in the lineup. We'll talk about the impact that has on Kirill Kaprizov, as well as the rest of the Minnesota Wild lineup. And we'll finish by taking a look at where other Minnesota Wild youngsters are sitting right now, because we saw another return to the lineup over the last couple of days, that being Danila Yurov. I want to dive into that a little bit as well. My name is Seth Toupal, as mentioned, credentialed media member and host of Locked On Wild, joined by Alex Micheletti here for a Victory Micheletti Monday. Alex, a 2-0 win over the Calgary Flames, offense optional in this game. Figured it would be something like that with a pretty grimy Calgary team. A lot of defense, not a lot of offense, and honestly, a surprisingly good goalie performance from the Flames that kept this one close, but turns out the Wild had the better goalie, and that is Jesper Wallstedt pitches the shutout.
Another huge confidence boost for Jesper to get the shutout and feel good about himself, and he put it on tonight that he was the reason why they won the game for the Wild with the lack of offense, and he made some really nice saves. He stopped Huberdeau on that breakaway, and he looked confident all game for sure.
I think that was my favorite save of the night in watching a few things back. I think that was my favorite save of the night because he doesn't get pulled out of position. Now, Huberdeau does a little bit of kind of a hesitation move to try to draw Jesper out, and Jesper is still able to stick his leg out to make the save. So I think that was a good indication of just how far he has come as far as, making sure to stay back as a goalie, making sure to not get pulled out of the net on the initial move. And that's been, I think, his biggest strength as a goalie in his career, is just his ability to stay back and to let the shooter make the play. But he faced, all told, 53 unblocked shot attempts. Credit to the Wild defense too. 0 high danger shot attempts from the Calgary Flames, mostly low danger shots, but in a game in which offense was a struggle for both sides. He did a great job, and credit on the other side as well. The Flames, it's been a rough go to start the year, but Devin Cooley I thought was fantastic as well, and I thought the Wild actually had some decent looks. They had some flurries of shots, but Cooley certainly did a good job to keep this from being more of a wide margin than it was.
And good kudos to Boldy for finishing his goal, and gave the Wild a little relief there, because it's a trap game, right, against the team in last place, and really struggling to score goals right now. And so to have Boldy step up was huge as well.
And then you see the excitement, the emotion from Jesper on the empty net goal for Kirill Kaprizov, which I got a chuckle there too, because, a real nice play by Joel Eriksson Ek on the boards to get the puck to Kirill Kaprizov. And then all of a sudden a stick comes flying in from the back of the play. Nazem Kadri's like, you know what? I'm going to do whatever I can to try to prevent this shot. You did see the official's arm go up. He's like, yeah, if this isn't a goal, this is absolutely going to be.
Kadri yeeted his stick to try to prevent it.
He chucked that thing a good 30, 40 feet, but it didn't end up mattering. Kirill gets the goal. You see Jesper fist pump when Kaprizov was going down to score the empty netter, and we saw emotion from Jesper during one of his shootout wins. I love that. I'm fully here for it, because I think we just see that kind of ooze to the surface. A young player who took what happened to him last year personal. He took it personally. He made every effort possible to get back to the NHL level this year and be in a new frame of mind, to work on pretty much every aspect of the game. He had a great preseason, great training camp, and now he's got 3 wins on the season. And with Philip Gustafsson a little leaky right now, it's nice to know that if the Wild need to lean on Jesper a little bit for starts, that he is more than up to the test.
You love to see that passion for the game, and he knows how quick that can be taken from him, and just the lifestyle being in the NHL compared to the AHL. Right, in the AHL, you're on buses, you're getting just random meals, and then in the NHL, you're 5-star hotels, going out to steakhouses with the guys. So it's just completely different lifestyle, and when you win like that, it's a huge deal to get a shutout too, no matter who you're playing in the NHL. The shutout's a huge deal. So you love to see it from these young guys, and you look across the NHL. The new wave of young stars are coming out, and they're not afraid to say this is our time. And you look at Macklin Celebrini being near the top of the scoring, and just all certain Bedard's playing really well, and so it's cool to see Jesper as one of the youngest goalies in the league, stepping up to the plate and helping out, because like we've talked about all offseason coming into this season, with him taking over for Fleury, he's going to have to play 25-30 games at least, and they're going to need him, especially in back-to-backs as well.
Yeah, just to add some historical context to it as well. First shutout of this season, but the second shutout of Jesper's career. He still has not made enough starts in the NHL, so he's still considered a rookie. And according to Minnesota Wild PR, Wallstedt became the 4th goaltender in Wild history to earn multiple shutouts as a rookie. He joined this group: Josh Harding, Darcy Kuemper, and Kaapo Kahkonen. Remember the Kahkonen arc?
That was crazy. It was kind of like, remember Matt Hackett? That was another name that just we thought it was going to be just a star for the Wild, and the arcs of just goalies you'll always remember that, or that just kind of had obscure resumes with the Wild.
Yeah, it's like a comet in orbit, and it'll occasionally line up with what the Earth is doing, but then all of a sudden it's like, nope, I'm gonna just continue on my path. It's like, all right, well, see you later. Good company to be in, but I think the Wild are hoping, we're all hoping, that this is just the beginning for Jesper, and so I'm rooting fully for him. Anytime he's in the net, anytime he's not in the net, And so I was
seems like a great guy too, just
yeah.
off the ice and personality wise. So that adds to it for sure.
Yeah, it was great. It was great to watch. It's if you're looking for something amidst what has been a messy start to the season, if you're looking for something to kind of rally behind, Jesper's a good spot to go. So we'll continue to track his progress to start the season, and I know that he will definitely be getting a start this week because the Minnesota Wild have yet another back-to-back. They will play Tuesday, and then they don't play until Saturday. Again, the schedule just like, why can you not put the game on a Thursday?
Right. It's just,
I don't understand. I don't get it. I just want to talk to the schedule maker. I just want to talk to him. We should also, and we will when we come back, talk about the return of a fan favorite, of a very integral part of the lineup. Matt Zuccarello made his return to the ice. The Wild have played a couple of games with him in the fold, and they've won both. So we'll talk about the Zuccarello effect, which I think may have been undersold. I certainly undersold it, but we'll take a look at just what it means for him and the lineup as we continue today's episode of Locked on Wild after this. Today's episode of Locked on Wild is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there is no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. No fourth quarter comeback needed for the Timberwolves as they throttled the Sacramento Kings. If you were looking for points, if you went with the over, you definitely cashed on the FanDuel first bet. If you're looking for other options, of course, the Minnesota Vikings unfortunately fell this weekend. They'll be back at it against Chicago coming up on Sunday. I would imagine the Vikings will be underdogs in that line, but it's a good spot to start. Maybe just go with the over, defense optional in those games. It keeps everything exciting, especially when your team is making the late push. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back to today's episode of Locked on Wild. Thank you for making Locked on Wild your first listen of the day and for making Locked on the #1 sports podcast network. We are your team each and every day. And Alex, as we mentioned, Matt Zuccarello made his return to the lineup after an injury to the start of the season. I don't know if we even know at this point what the injury is as of yet, but just something to consider with Kaprizov and Matt Zuccarello. So I went back a couple of years, courtesy of Natural Stat Trick. I went back to the 2022-2023 season. And if you look at the production since, and you could even take this, you could even go 2021-2022, when Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Zuccarello really started to become a group together. In minutes that they play together, in 5-on-5, in fact, the Wild are plus 31 in the goals department with those two together on the ice. 126 goals for in 199 games, 95 goals against in 199 games. So they're plus 31 in the goals department. Here is how both of the players factor in when the other is not on the ice. Kirill Kaprizov in 223 games without Matt Zuccarello during that time frame. This is 2021, 2022 to 2023, 2024. Natural stat trick goes 3 years at a time. I've tried to go a longer range, and it will not. Kirill Kaprizov in that span, plus 13 in the goals department, 63 to 50. Matt Zuccarello by himself is minus 6. And in that span, in those 3 years, the Wild had neither Kirill Kaprizov or Matt Zuccarello on the ice. The team was a plus 20. Now, if we go 2022 through 2025 with those two on the ice, similar story. Obviously, the big year that they had back in 2021, 2022 was factoring into those numbers. But more recently, Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Zuccarello are plus 16 in the goals department, 90 to 74. Kirill is plus 17 by himself. Matt Zuccarello is minus 8. But most eye-opening of all, the Minnesota Wild, with neither of those two on the ice, they are minus 31 in the goals department at 5-on-5. So if you want some empirical data as to why Matt Zuccarello was reunited with Kirill Kaprizov immediately, that's why.
Yeah, I mean, the instant chemistry, it's too bad that he's 38, right? You wish that he could go on for the entire rest of Kirill's large contract, that's starting up here again. And just, that pass he made the other night against the Islanders, it was just absolutely ridiculous. And for him to do that after such a long layoff too was super impressive. He keeps himself in such good shape, which helps for the age that he's at, and he's not the biggest guy in the world either. So he holds his own, and it's fun to see those guys back out there making magic.
I will also say, and this is a point that you and I have made previously. This is a point that's been made all over this channel. So everydayers, they know it well. His leadership on this team is criminally underrated. Like, I think you could make a very compelling case that he should be one of the players wearing an A. I think we saw a good example so far this year of the impact that is lost by him not being in the room. And it's 2 games. So it's, there's still certainly plenty of time for things to go the other way. But through the first 2 games, they beat the Islanders. After getting beaten by the Minnesota Wild, the Islanders went and throttled the Rangers, and then they beat the Calgary Flames. I still maintain that I need to see it done against teams that are more on the high side of the lineup. But there has been a difference the last 2 games compared to where things were at with Zuccarello on the bench.
Yeah, he doesn't take any crap, right? And we see it, unfortunately after playoff series losses, he always steps up to the plate and does not sugarcoat anything, which is it's good to hear. He lets it out, and he said not. He always says not good enough, and he really tells it like it is. I appreciate that from him. He's on the back 9 of his career, and he wants to go far into the playoffs here, and his voice is respected in the locker room for sure.
Yeah, it is definitely respected, and I think he just I don't have anything to go off of with this because this is all stuff that happens behind the scenes, but I feel like he is somebody that really helps out in kind of commanding a little more. We have heard in previous years in some of the closed door players only meetings that he's consistently the most vocal. So I don't think he has any problem asking more of people. And what we've seen from this team over the last few years, they definitely need a dose of that.
Yeah, you have so many young guys now too that need to hear that voice, and he's been in the league for so long, right? And he knows the ropes, and can motivate guys, and like I just mentioned too, he doesn't have a lot of time left in the league, and so he needs to win, and the urgency is there too with Kirill signing his contract. He signed for a reason, because he believes in what's happening here, and so they have to show it though. You can't just as we've seen in this early part of the season, if you don't play a full 60, you're going to lose, and it doesn't matter who the opponent is now, because the parity in the league is at an all-time high right now for sure.
Yeah, there is just every night it seems like there's somebody that pulls off a big upset, or there are teams in positions that we are not used to seeing. The Anaheim Ducks being the top team in the
Crazy.
Western Conference
Utah
right now is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And not by a little bit too. Like, they got a 5-point cushion right now.
And they're getting great goaltending. Yeah, it's the name of the game. If you can get, and these young guys, they're fearless. They do not care, that they've always been seen as kind of like, here's the automatic 2 points. Not anymore. And you're seeing some teams that Edmonton, they're really struggling right now. So they're just, if you don't get the good goaltending, Skinner is not performing well for the Oilers, and why they can't figure that one out, who knows? But yeah, it's it's like we saw with the Vikings. If your quarterback does not perform well, you're not going to win, and if your goalies aren't playing well, good luck.
Yeah, you'll be in the St. Louis Blues position, which is to say dead last in the Central.
Scratching Jordan Kyrou, who just signed a monster deal. Yeah, it's bad news down there in Missouri.
Yeah, it's looking rough. Let's finish by talking about a few of the kids, because I have a bone to pick with the deployment of one Danila Yurov being out of the lineup for a handful of games for one reason, and literally one reason only, and that kind of irked me. So we'll talk about that to finish today's episode of Locked On Wild, which is coming up right after this. Today's episode of Locked On Wild is brought to you by Indeed. You just realized that your business needed to hire somebody yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? That's the easy part. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed's sponsored jobs put your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. I was on the job hunt a couple of summers ago, and I got to tell you, it's not a fun thing. That's why the sponsored job posts are so critical, because you're looking through pages and pages and pages of different job opportunities. Those sponsored jobs go right to the top of the screen. It's the first thing that you see, and it gives you the best chance for you to fill those key positions that you are looking to hire. Now, you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockdown right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed, is all you need. Once again, we welcome you back to today's edition of Locked On Wild, and we thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen of the day. And thank you as well for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network there is. Alex, I'm sure you saw, I know you saw, because everybody saw. Earlier this week, last week, the decision was made to pull Danila Yurov out of the lineup because they wanted to give him a breather and they wanted to get Ben Jones into the game so they could win more faceoffs on the fourth line. Everybody with me so far? So that happened for one game, and the Wild ended up winning that game. So naturally, they ran it back for a second game. And the second game in particular was irksome to me because Ben Jones took 2 faceoffs and went 1 for 1. That was the so he played against Vancouver, he played against Nashville, and then he played against Carolina. He got pulled from the lineup after the Carolina game. Danila Yurov came back in. Danila Yurov scored a goal in his return to the lineup. And Ben Jones played roughly 7 to 8 minutes in all of those games that he's played. And so my question is, are we really to the point that we just are gotta have a face-off specialist in this lineup? Gotta have the face-offs. Gotta do the face-offs. Like it's not even a question at this point. It's not even a comparison as to who brings more upside to the lineup. Yurov. More offensive potential to the lineup. Yurov. Better defense. Yurov. Like the statistics back Danila Yurov in every single category, other than face-offs. If it is down to that, why don't you do what you do every other opportunity and just give Joel Eriksson Ek the face-off? That hasn't stopped them before. I just don't understand why it was necessary at this point to it feels like, as I've said before, it feels like finding a way to take a guy out of the lineup.
And they don't need another young guy's, mentality or, just mindset to be afraid to make a mistake out there and then feel like you're going to be banished in Iowa. We're seeing it with Liam Ogren. At some point, he's going to have to get moved, probably just because I'm sure him and his agent are just fed up. And Yurov has that thing in his contract where he said, I can go back home if you guys try to put me in the AHL. So it's just kind of awkward there with how they're treating some of the young guys, the kids, and do you have to let them play through their mistakes or what you think what they think are mistakes? And like you said, the upside is so much higher compared to some of these career AHL guys that are getting chances right now.
Ben Jones has now played in a total of 34 career NHL games. 0 points.
Yeah, where's the upside? And he's not a face-off guru to begin with either.
No, like he's winning in the 50s as far as percentage goes, but he's taking like 4 face-offs a night.
Yeah. He's not going to give you upside offensively.
Yeah, like is it really giving you that big of a spark to the lineup? And it clearly isn't, because the 5-on-5 scoring continues to be a problem.
100%. Look at who's on the fourth line too. The Trenton contract just sticks out like just an eyesore. Because he's not giving you anything offensively either.
Yeah, I still like. There's so many things that just are bothersome and irritating that this team has done and put themselves in position to have to do. It's not necessary. So Trennian signed before the 2024-2025 season. I think what I'm going to do for an episode, since the Wild play Tuesday and then not till Saturday, I think what I'm going to do for an episode this week is look at other ways that money could have been spent. $3.5 million for a hitter, basically.
Yes. Lots of cardio.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely look at that at some point this week. But we talked about Jesper at the start of the episode, and he, I think, is probably the rookie young player that is off to the best start right now. Although Zeev Buium does have 9 points in 17 games, and Zeev is he's getting about
Teenager.
18 minutes a night. Yeah, he's still 19. He's getting about 18 minutes a night. He's playing. He's manning power play 2 right now. I think just to get comfortable, and honestly, like, I'm not upset by that as much. I was upset when he was taken off the power play entirely for a stretch. He needs to be on that unit. If it's first or second at this point, it doesn't really matter to me as long as he's on one of those units. I still think, though, like, you gotta just let him kind of figure it out on the defensive side, and throwing him into sheltered third pairing minutes, frankly, just doesn't do it.
Not at all. And especially at some points when it could be Jiricek with them, or it's they ran it in tonight where Milton was a surprise scratch late, and they had to scramble a little bit, and thankfully they were able to not give up any goals there against a Flames team that is struggling mightily to even get a single goal. So it's. You have to let you see the talent. It's undeniable. Watching him at Denver was so much fun, and you could tell that this guy plays with a lot of swagger. And I'll never forget. We've talked about in other episodes where he scored against Boston College and did the salute to them, bye bye, out of the NCAA tournament last year. And yeah, his game is so much fun. He comes from a non-traditional hockey market in San Diego, California, to where he is now. It's incredible. Still just being a teenager, he could still be a Denver Pioneer, and he's working through it. Yeah. Sometimes people are really critical of his game. It's like he's even younger than Brock Faber when Brock came in, and he's smaller, a little bit smaller than Brock, and what he's doing is pretty impressive for where he is in his stage of his career right now.
I will tell you, this week's deep dive is going to be the David Jiricek situation. I saw on X, I saw a conversation back and forth that kind of sparked my curiosity. Feels like there is some part of this where he is just being deployed improperly. Like, I don't know if it's Billy kind of being enamored with the size and being like, well, we can turn him into a hitter. That's not really his game. And
not at all.
He's not really a stay-at-home defenseman, and they continue to deploy him as one. It's like, it feels like this is a situation where the organization doesn't really know what they have, but
that's something you should have figured out before you gave up all those assets for him. And it was kind of ironic against the Flames that his D partner was the guy that was traded for him, and then he's back with his original team, and he's out there with Damon Hunt. It was extremely ironic for sure.
That is if that isn't a spin zone, I don't know what is, because that was a level of full circle that I didn't know existed until
only the Wild
particular situation. Yeah, exactly. Only the Wild. So that's going to be this week's deep dive, because it feels like that is certainly the case, but I really have to dive in. And I'm looking at deployment with different defensemen, trying to track down maybe some game footage to watch what he's doing and what he's being asked to do. Like that's going to require some time. That's my project on Wednesday.
It just seemed like it was like a panic. When they acquired him, like We don't know if we can fix his skating or not. We're gonna try to change the way he grew up playing. That's not, that's tough to change. How someone plays at this point.
It's like we would like to try to figure this guy out, and we would like to also make sure that nobody else gets him.
We acquired an asset that we gave up a ton for, but we don't know how to use him properly, and now it's like they're stuck.
We don't know what we have, but we're just gonna kind of figure it out. So we'll do that for Wednesday, but I think that's it for today's episode. So again, make sure to like and subscribe if you have not already, so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. Make sure to follow us on YouTube as well, and hit that like button on today's episode, and comment with your thoughts. That helps get the show circulated better. If you leave your thoughts on today's episode in the comments, and we'll keep an eye on things throughout the week to see how the Minnesota Wild do, if they're back on track, if they do the kind of, hey, we won 2, kind of psyched you out, but now we're going to lose again. We'll see what plays out as the week unfolds, but you can find all the action right here on Locked On Wild. We are your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.